Okay, hi there, everybody. So we're going to do day 2 of our Railroader for Beginners set. We'll get started in here, and we'll see where we left off last time. Okay. So one of the other kind of quirks, if you leave the engineer in the cab, when you come in, he's standing up for some reason. So just push Control 0 and have him sit back down. Okay. So we have our engine here, our old 2-spot. We left in the engine house where we left it, and we left it for repairs. So if you see the conditions now 100%. Back behind the engine house, we have this tool card that's empty now, so we need to put that on the interchange. We spotted this coal hopper. We have these log cars that are empty. We need to take them up the hill to get reloaded. And then we have loaded ones up on the hill that we need to bring down to give to the sawmill. And then if we go over here, we have our coach. And then we have all these cars that got dropped at the interchange. So we can go through them. We have a car for the house track in Ela. We have a whole bunch of bridge cars. Cars for the Ela farm supply. We get farming supplies and farming machinery. And we have sawmill cars. 2 cars for Stenzel Manufacturing. A car for the Whittier house track. And a heating oil car. So normally, when I'm starting on Whittier, I like to just do the logs first to get it out of the way. But for now, since this is our only crew and because I want to get that Bryson Bridge done, we're actually going to go do the mainline train first. So what we do, we use the auto engineer waypoint here. We set the speed to 25. And we're going to bring the engine over, couple onto the train. Also filled the tender up, so we have plenty of coal and water. Plenty of coal and water for the day today. Pull up, clear the switch. The switch throws. Sometimes it whistles, sometimes it just starts backing up. The other thing I kind of like is the headlight on the tender comes on. Okay. Almost there. Okay. First things first, we're going to link the air up. I take handbrakes off, and we're going to get wheels oiled. So we'll just take a minute and do that. We can see down here there's no more handbrakes after those first 2. So we're just checking for oil. And there's going to be some in here that are low. I think if the oil gets under like 25%, the car can derail. And it should be when you click one truck on a freight car, it oils the other one too. So you don't need to do both. Okay, let's think about this for a second. So right now we have Ella's in the front, and then Whittier's. And we also have these Whittier sawmill cars that don't need to leave the yard because they're just going to the sawmill. So what I want to do, the other thing, we have this Ela house car that's separated from the bridge cars. So I want the cars going to Ela town to be against the caboose, or the coach in this case. Then the Ela Bridge cars, right? And then our Whittier's working back to front. So it would be Whittier's, the Ela Bridge cars, then the Ela town cars. So we have a little bit of flip-flopping to do here. Shouldn't take too long though. We're going to first throw a handbrake on these. I want to set this car, this Ela house car over just to get it out of my way. Turn the speed down a little bit. Okay. So we'll lace these up. There's already a handbrake on the coach, so I'm not worried about it. Now we're going to go back over and grab the train. Okay, and we're setting out. How many sawmill cars? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sawmill cars, and then the coach is like 2 cars. So we need to make sure the back end of our train lines up like here to make sure we have room. You'll see what I mean in a second. Lace up again. We'll knock the brake off. Now what I'm going to do is I want the coach and this Ela car to be on this track. So I'm going to flip this train over, grab them, and put it back. It seems kind of tedious, but it gets that way sometimes. It beats doing it at 4 o'clock in the morning in the pouring rain. Again, this is a big train, little engine, so you might have to bear with him here. Having an easier time with it than I thought, but a lot of these cars are empty, I think. Yeah, all these sawmill cars are empty. So 2 more. Last one. Half. Quarter. That's good. He'll start coming back. What I could have done if I'd wanted to put some weight down is put the Whittier cars over here, grab the Ellas, set them over, and then put the Whittier cars on top. But that's okay. Lace all this up, take the handbrake off the coach, make sure the coach is oiled. Okay. I think that spot I picked was like right over here. Yeah, we have a Whittier house car in here too. That's going to complicate things. So there'll be one extra quick move I might make. I'm deciding if it's worth it or not. So I can say the railroad I used to work for, one of our customers was a toy company, and they took in loads of plastic and covered hoppers, like plastic pellets. Um, and they wanted them sorted by color. It's not like you can tell looking at the outside of the car what color's in each one. So you had to look at your manifest and then try and remember which one was which, so you're not having to stare at the list the whole time. We were always there in the middle of the night, and it always seemed to be raining. So switching when you can just hover the mouse over it and look, it's a lot easier. More comfortable too in a nice chair. Okay. Now we can be nice to the engineer and start putting some weight down. So we'll cut these cars off. There's an angle valve. And then I'm going to put my cars going to the Whittier town over on this track. I want to put the sawmill cars here, and then the Ela cars for the train, and then the last move will be to flip the Whittier town cars on top of the Elas, and we'll be on our way. So we'll make this move real quick. Let me see, we got 4 town cars, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll put it right here. I'm actually not going to make that extra move I was thinking about. I could, but it doesn't make a ton of difference. So, 3 more. And 2. Last one. Half. Quarter. That's good. All right, now we start coming back. It's in the town car anyway. Oh, that is loaded. Okay. A little bit more just to get clear here. Usually these blue flowers are usually right around where your clearance point is, so you want to get your head car right around these. Okay. Cut these, and now we'll set these sawmill cars off. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so about the same point. And then if you don't know, on the control panel here, it keeps track of how many cars, which counts includes the engine, your weight, which also includes the engine, and the length of your train. Just to have as like a handy reference. So if you'll watch when I make this cut here, they change. Nice. Okay, so now we're going to set all these Ela cars over onto our train. the switchback. The AI one doesn't get it all the time. I'm not sure what the rhyme or reason there is. I haven't been able to identify one yet. Here he comes back up. If I was really doing this professionally, I wouldn't bother lacing these up and doing the handbrakes until the end, but since it's just clicking the mouse, we'll go ahead and do it. All right, let's cut this one. We just have to grab these Whittier Town cars, throw them on top of here, and we'll be ready to go. While the engine's doing that, we'll go back to our passenger car and set up our passenger stops. Ela and Whittier. Just to do that before we forget. Thought it's kind of strange. All the other freight cars give their weight in tons, except tank cars, which give it to you in gallons. I'm an engineer. I don't care about how many gallons are in here. I want to know how heavy it is. One of those kind of quirky things. Lisa. And we'll head over to Whittier Town and see what we got. Okay. So Whittier Depot, we're going to be coming in from this side. We have 2 cars for Stenzel. We have 1 for Hollowfield. And 1 for the house track. And I believe it's the Stenzel ones and then the house track and then the Hollowfields. So what we're going to do, bring the whole train up. We'll stop right here. We'll get that ball rolling right now. We'll cut the 4 head cars off. We're going to bring them in here. We'll leave the Whittier house and the Hollowfield tank car here and take the 2 Stenzels. They'll go up and go back. We'll put them on their track. Then we'll have the engine come down this way and get on this end. We'll leave the house track car here and bring the tank car over set it this way. Then he'll come over here and get back on this end of the house track car. Shove back, and then come forward and put the house track car here. And then we're done. Double back to the train and we'll be off. We'll see how it works out. And we're on our way. That's the Y track, and we're almost done. Easing up to the station post here. Oh, something else I like to do with this engine I forgot to do last time. Let's change the whistle. I like that better. Okay. Now, so we're taking the town cars with us. We'll leave the Elas and the caboose here just for a minute. Cut the speed down just a little bit. I want to bring these up. I want to make sure they're up enough that they're not, that this crossing stays clear. So, I don't know. Probably like here should be fine. just enough to get off the crossing. That should be fine. Okay, so throw the handbrake on here. Make the cut, trim our speed down. I want to park these stencils in here. Now this is kind of a tight fit. So 2 cars fit in fine. Sometimes you'll have 3 for in here and it's kind of tight. Or if you get 1 and 2 of them and one's kind of a bigger box car. It can be a little bit of a struggle getting all the fit right in there. We're going to come all the way back. How many passengers do we have? Oh, well, we'll have a train full. This is what I mean about passenger numbers being a little elevated. 58 people going to Ela at 6:30. Okay. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'll take the $58, but you know. Okay, so we can see one on the track. Put some handbrakes on, leave these nice and tight here. Make our cut. And now we want to be on this end so we can get the tank car and put it into haul field again. Bring the engine over and grab it. So now this is a situation where this car already has a handbrake and the angle valve's open on this end, and we want to leave it that way because we're going to grab it from this direction to go put it over here on the house track. So what we want to do is cut this, so hold shift, click. And it opens the glad hands and closes both valves. Cut the coupler, and then come over here, hold shift, click again, and it closes the glad hands and opens these valves. So now we just have this car and our air's lined up right. Cut our speed down a little, and we'll go spot it. And just for the sake of, play value, I like to try and put the tank car right around here where the unloaders are. But this track, really, if I can just hover that, you can see how big a zone you have to park these. So we'll try and get it like right there. Let's see what happens. almost there. That's probably close enough. Okay, so tie this down. We got paid for this delivery. Close the angle valve. And then one more move. We gotta come over here, get onto that end of this car. Okay, so we'll get this laced up. And then it's going to the Whittier house track. It's the same thing. It gives you kind of a zone to put it in. If you just get it kind of close to the bumper, you're fine. So put it like right there. And because we laid back a little bit earlier, and then we also have a lot fewer cars than we did, we got all kinds of room to make this move. We'll bump the speed up a little while we're pulling forward. Okay, we're off the switch. Okay. Just back in here and park. Switch in and Whittier will be all done. House tracks, for those of you who don't know, were like community tracks outside a station. They were really for customers that didn't have their own sidings. You could have your order spotted on the house track and come in and load it. It's kind of nice. It's like a universal customer that can have pretty much anything. Right, we got paid for that. So we'll go back and get our train. So while he's going back to get his train, we're going to talk about Ela for a minute. So we're going to be coming in from this direction. Our customers are both opposite facing sidings. And then we have to remember up here are our bridge cars that we need to pull out before we can put the new bridge cars in. And then these cars need to go back down to the Whittier interchange. So how to do this? We could pull the train up here, cut the engine off, go get the cars at the bridge, bring them down, pull them into the siding, then put the engine on our train and shove it up. But then we still have those Ela town cars we have to spot. And if we do it that way, we haven't really left ourselves a lot of room here. So what we'll do instead, we'll bring our train into the siding, go up and get the bridge cars, leave them on the main track, run around, grab our train, shove the new bridge cars up, come back down with the Ela town cars. Then this siding here probably won't hold the engine, the coach, and 3 cars. I might try it just for giggles, but I kind of doubt it. So what we would do in that case is we'll put the coach, they'll spot the house car, leave the coach over here, get the farm cars, put them over. Yeah, we'll see. We'll figure it out when we get that far. But okay, back to the train. We'll lace the air up, knock off the handbrakes, bump the speed up a little. We'll go make sure we already set up our passenger car, and we did. Okay, so we set our waypoint up here at Ela Station in the siding. Way down here at the other end. And away we go. Eventually, takes a minute to charge up the brakes. Here we go. a struggle until we get to that downhill. And then it'll start speeding up. Doing okay now, I guess. Train little engine. Right around here, the downgrade really picks up. Kind of the funny thing about railroading is a lot of, basically, the hills aren't all that steep. So like a 2% grade, which means you're going up 2 feet up for every 100 feet forward. It's considered a really steep grade hill on the railroad, but if you see the eye, it doesn't look like much. Even if you have a pretty long train, a 1% or even 0.5% can feel pretty steep. But again, when you look out, it doesn't really look like you're going uphill, but all of a sudden you're in notch 8 and you're still slowing down. So it's kind of an odd feeling. This game captures it pretty well. So we're going downhill pretty steeply right now, but it doesn't really look like it. We get later in the game when we're trying to bring big coal trains up here, you see the engine slow it down. Curve here is a killer. You get rolling out of Ela, you slow down through the curve, and then you're trying to speed back up again while you're going uphill. It can get a little exciting sometimes if you don't have an engine that's big enough. We actually had a stretch on the railroad company I worked for that even the Amish people around called Jackass Hollow, because it was going down into like a river valley and then up the other side. But it didn't look very steep. So you'd get engineers back when they used to run real heavy ore trains through there. They wouldn't have slowed down enough before the downhill, so they get going downhill and they speed up and they put too much brake on it. All of a sudden they'd be across the creek and headed up the other side. And they'd have put too much brake on it, couldn't get it off fast enough. They'd stop on the way up the hill, and then they're stuck. You can't go backwards because backwards is uphill. I'm sure it was a mess. Okay, like I said, even the Amish community, they took the name Jackass Hollow from the area. So I always thought it was kind of funny. Making our station stop in Ela. Throw our switch and start heading us into the siding. And we'll bring our coach up right to the platform so people can get on. Or get off, I guess, in this case. How many do we have going back? So we have 49 going to a little bit crazy. That's okay. I said, right now we need pretty much every dollar we can get, so I'm not going to complain too much. This model was added pretty recently. I kind of like it. Like a granary, silos here. And then I like the freight house model too. Kind of cool. You have loading doors on this end for trucks or wagons or whatever. And you have loading doors for box cars. You have like a dock. Kind of neat. I like this crossing sign model too. It's like pieces have the words have the letters. I mean, have like texture. It's neat. Really cool. Okay, we'll drag these up and we'll go get the bridge cars. Building supplies for the house track, farming machinery and farming supplies for Ela Farm, and then these bridge cars in the end. A lot of work to do here in Ela today. Ela, normally, once you progress in the game, you're only stopping here, every second or third day. What I want to do here, I'm going to close this, come all the way down, put the handbrake back here, and we'll open that. We'll make our cut. And we'll come up and we'll pull these cars off the bridge. Like the bridge model too. Okay. grab hold of it. I got 1, 2, 3 handbrakes. Now I pull these back. Want to bring them down here, but we don't want to block a crossing. Pretty much anytime we can help it. We don't want to block a grade crossing. So let's bring them down to like here. Take a minute to charge the airbags up. For the crossing, we're stopping short of it. Almost there. We're going to be leaving these for a minute, so I'll put 2 handbrakes on. There's the air. We'll run over and pick up the train, and we're going to shove it up to the bridge. And then we'll see about switching out Ela Town. Okay. Face this air up. So we have the engine, the coach, and 3 cars. I don't think that's going to fit on that tail track. Shoot. It's okay. We'll find out when we get back. That's fine. Priority for right now is getting the bridge work done. So we'll come up here. Charge the air up. almost there. It's on these bridge sections. Another half a car. And that's good enough right there. Okay. So throw some handbrakes on. Now, nice thing about waypoint mode is if it won't fit or if it can't get to where it's supposed to go, it'll tell you. So let's see. Nope. Train too long to navigate to waypoint. What that means is we're too long for this tail track here. That's fine. A little annoying, but it's fine. So we'll just come back to here. We'll figure it out. Myself, I should have put this house car on the other side of the farm supply cars. It would work better, but it's alright. Okay. So we're just going to have to make this in two kind of longer moves. It's all right. Okay. No harm done. So first step, we'll spot up this house car. House track is this one right here. Probably take a couple days to unload it, and then we'll be back full on the empty. No word yet on an update to put like the railroad logos or graphics on the sides of the cars. I'm sure that's probably a copyright, intellectual property nightmare. But they did put in the devlog that like weight labels. There should be like a box here that has like, weight, build date, inspection date, all that kind of stuff. That supposedly is coming, so that'll be cool. And then a lot of people don't know this little hole here is called a polling pocket. So if you were on this track, say, with an engine and you wanted to move this car, you take a metal or a wooden post, a pole, and you put one end in the polling pocket on the car and the other end in the polling pocket on the engine, and you can push the car along the track. It's all fun and games until the pole shatters. You know, all sorts of hilarity can happen. Um, that's from a time where it was just kind of accepted that people got killed and maimed at work, and that was just, you know, the way it was. I was talking with someone at a museum about the design of a steam locomotive they had. It was from like the 1890s. Where, the boiler itself was part of the frame of the engine. So as the train goes down the track, all the twisting and, you know, jolting and stuff is being transmitted right into the boiler. The boiler essentially was the frame. And the guy said to me, yeah, it was from a time when people just accepted that boilers blew up sometimes and nobody really questioned it. So, okay. This engine with the one water sight glass here, that would not at all be cool on a modern age. The engineer and the fireman now each have to have their own sight glass, and it has to be lit. That's a lesson learned the very hard way. Okay. So now these two cars are both going over to Ela Farm Supply. It doesn't matter what order you put them in. You just, you know, they're different. They're different stuff. Get them both over here. This track holds 3 cars pretty comfortably. So 2 would be just fine. Okay, we'll clear this switch. You can get 3 or sometimes even 4 cars back there, but the coach, I think, is what screwed us. It's okay. Anywhere in there is good enough. Throw some handbrakes on. I think when you're leaving cars at customers cannot help themselves but screw with the cars. Try to move them, they mess with the valves, yeah. So as many handbrakes as you can when you're leaving cars in there. Okay, so we're going to grab the coach, set the coach over, double the cars on top of it, and head back to Whittier. let's pull forward. This, cut our handbrake off. This is always kind of a pain with the passenger car. You gotta get just the right angle. And we'll park him. We want to be pretty far back, so we'll put him like over here. That's fine. Before we forget, set our passenger stops. Because we're going to go right through Whittier Town. Put the train away. That's far enough. Handbrake on. We'll go get the train. Okay, we're almost there. All right. Handbrake's off. Double over and grab the coach, then we'll head back for Whittier. the switch, and now he's coming back. Kind of see, we're an hour and a half into this. We're maybe halfway through our day. You can kind of see how once you expand to where you have 5 or 6 downs, you can get a lot of play value without expanding much more than that. So, we've already set up our passenger stops. So we just need to go to our destination. I should have just clicked the interchange. I don't know why I didn't. Bring it all the way down. Park the engine down here. Your interchange partners are usually what we call Class 1 railroads, or the big, cross-country ones. Their crews are spoiled. They will complain to no end. They don't leave the interchange cars just where they want them, just how they want them. It's a struggle. Rolling back. So 1 minute. I don't know if we went over. If you want to change how long you wait at stations, go to settings and features. The only passenger feature I leave turned off is the timetable, just because I don't really care about it all that much. But I like leaving the oiling on. I leave the wear rate right. You can up the wear rate to make it less realistic, but more game friendly. You can change how your interchange cars come in. I leave them blocked by destination, just because. Even though that's not the most realistic. Like I said, if you're dealing with the bigger railroads, hostile is probably it. It seems like they go out of their way to make it as hard as they can. It's not really how it is, but it feels that way. Braking force, I don't really mess with. Yeah. The time, you used to be able to change, you go to 2 to 1 time. I took that away, and that's fine. We made our stop. We're getting on the way. For those who don't know, the whistle, when he blows it twice, he's going forward. 3 times he's backing up, and once he's stopped. And then coming up to a railroad crossing, he'll have 2 long whistle blasts, a short one and a long one. It's a Morse letter Q. I have no idea why. I'm sure there's something. Kind of rolling along here, I don't know what you do. This obviously is a steam locomotive. Steam engines were the stationary steam engine was invented in the mid 1760s. Steam locomotives started coming around in the early 1800s. all there was pretty much until the World War II type thing, 1930s, 40s. This is kind of a simple one, small. This is the engine, behind it with the tender, we'll call it the cold block. Tender carried fuel for the locomotive, so the tank, water, cut out in the tank. In this case for coal, the early engines were wood. On the west coast of the United States and some other parts of the world, nowadays a lot of preserved things burn all kinds of stuff. Recycled motor oil, recycled cooking oil. There's one in particular, so the fuel, whatever it is, gets burned here in the firebox. Firebox, you kind of see it here, it's the gray part. Jacket is the black. It's usually made as best as simple. It has holes in it. The grate is open underneath. So the air gets into the fire from underneath and gets drawn through. This tube here is the boiler. It's full of water. The water surrounds the firebox. There's also tubes that run through the boiler. The water is fire is hot. Boils the water to make steam. And then the steam, it's hot, it goes up. This dome here. Steam has no place to go but up in here. In this case, the throttle is actually inside. So the steam that goes from the dome to the pipe that goes on top of the boiler. It's sent down, it gets split and sent down to these two valves. One on each side. This box here, in this case, it's a slide valve. Later engines use piston valves. There were some very late at the end of the steam. The valve controls which end of the cylinder steam is going into and for how long. So the cylinder has a piston inside. It's a double acting piston, which means it gets pushed both ways. The valve also lets steam out. So steam pushes the cylinder this way and then pushes it again this way. When it's pushing this way, it's open on either side, so the steam in the cylinder is allowed to go out. Piston pushes your main rod, this wheel, but it also turns your engine rods, and the main rod behind. Where does the steam go when it's done? Well, it's vented out of the cylinders. This valve with the valves in it. Look at this front of the boiler, got the smoke box. When it goes into the smoke box, it goes up the smokestack. The sound of the steam coming out of the cylinders is what makes the chuckling sound. Each exhaust beat you hear to the end of the piston stroke. The other thing the steam does when it's coming up through the smoke box, it creates a vacuum, which will go on air through the grates, up through the fire, through the flues in the boiler, and up the smokestack. The steam going up the stack is actually drawing air to the fire, which helps it burn hotter for steam. That's just kind of the basics of how it works. The different valves work on different motion. This dome here has got the sand dome. It's a little bit full of sand. It's really fine stuff. It's opened up. The engineer can open it up and let sand come down through pipes and gets put on the rail in front of the wheels. It helps you grip the rail a little bit better if you're slipping. And we're also using steam for a lot of auxiliary stuff. Steam is driving air compressor for the air brake system here. Pulls air from the outside, which squeezes it and puts it into these reservoirs. So there's one here and one here on the side. That air is used for the brakes, which we'll go over how the automatic brake works another time. You can actually see the piston going up and down here a little bit. It's pretty cool. What else? Oh, and then we have the dynamo here. It's just a little turbine. This engine probably would not have been built with one of these. It would have been put on later. Steam comes out of the boiler, blows through a little turbine, and goes out through an exhaust here. And that turbine is generating electricity that is used for the marker lights, the headlights, the cab lights. I don't know if this engine has cab lights. Let's see. That's the headlights, so that just shut off. Whoops. Yeah, but if the engine had cab lights, it would run on that. In the cab, this is your reverser. It controls forward and back, and then it also controls the valves up here. So it controls forwards and backwards, and it also controls how long on each piston stroke you're letting steam in and out. We'll go over that another time. This is your throttle regulator for European viewers. I believe in Europe they would call this a reverser. We can also call it the cutoff, or in some cases called the Johnson bar. Yeah. This would be your automatic brake, your train brake. So this is the brakes on the cars essentially. And then this valve here is your independent brake. That's the valve just for the engine. And then the rest of this here is all fire controls, or boiler controls, I should say. Or injectors that pump water into the boiler. These are your dampers that let air into the fire. And these are oil cans. They just sit there on the firebox to get nice and hot so the oil stays thin, easy to use. That's about it. Oh, then you have your brake gauges up here. Another time we'll talk about how the train brake works, and we'll go into what all these indicators mean. And this one here is boiler pressure. Alright, we dropped our passengers off. We're on our way back to the freight yard. Okay, we're almost ready to tie these down. All right. Now, our next chore. Since we're back here anyway, we're going to tie onto the back end of these sawmill cars. We'll go spot up the sawmill. I'll cheat a little bit. Turn the air hoses around on these cars. Just 'cause. Okay, we're almost there. And this is kind of neat. When I hook the air up, if you watch, this piston here should go down. Maybe it won't because I have the handbrake on. There we go. That's neat. Okay. So where are these going? Well, we have 3 for the set-out tracks, which you can see glowing up there by the loading dock. And then this one needs to go over where the wood chip cars go. Makes sense, it being a gondola. So first, you need to put the gondola where it goes. So stick that over here. You see the engine will kind of zigzag down and put it where it goes. Neat. You know, so this is your sight glass. This is water level in the boiler. As you look at it at different times, it'll be at different heights. As your fireman kind of does his thing. You also see the level of coal and the tendrils slowly go down. Yeah, a lot of neat little kind of animations. One thing I've never seen it do is use sand. I don't know if it's part of the game or not. I don't think so. Well, I mean, obviously there's nowhere to load it, but yeah. That would be kind of a edition. Devs, if you're watching. Especially on a mountain railroad like this, you'd go through a lot. I used to forget it was on all the time. That's okay, not my money. Sometimes you leave the engine overnight, forget you left the sander on, you come back, there's little piles of sand by the wheel. Whoops. Okay, so let's see him again, throw the switches he needs. Part of me does kind of wish it was more realistic, like you'd have to roll up to a switch, stop, throw it, roll up, stop, throw the next one. Then it also make it kind of tedious to watch, so it's okay. It's a game. Maybe a feature you could turn on or something. Okay. There we go. So we'll stop this. And now for the set out, doesn't matter which track you put them on. So I'm just going to put them over here. You saw we got paid for delivering that gondola, so that's good. We're starting to see money coming in now. You get paid for delivering the cars to the customers, and then you get paid again when you bring the outbound cars to the interchange. In this case, because these cars are ours, basically, we ordered them for the bridge. We didn't get paid either way. But tomorrow, when we have outbound customer cars, we put them on the interchange track, we get paid for them. That's always nice. Almost there. So we could stop now, but I just kind of like having them next to the dock. I'd really nerd out even and open the doors. Oh, that's neat. I've never noticed that before. Hang on. Little hasp opens. Ah, that's cool. That's neat. Okay. Back to business. So, we spotted empty cars at the sawmill. Now we just need something to be loaded into them. So we got to go up and get logs. While we're going up there, we'll take empty log cars up, leave them to get loaded. We can go check on our people left them at log 2, and there they are. They're loaded, but they don't have a destination yet. We can handle that when we get up there. puffs of steam that come out when it's starting. If you've been stopped for any substantial amount of time, there's steam in the cylinder, just wherever you stopped, you know. When steam's in the cylinder, it's cooling, which is problematic. So you get water in there. And you may know steam compresses, but water does not. So you got to get it out. So when you start moving, you open these drain cocks, just because there's one on each end there. And they'll use steam pressure to basically squirt the water out of the cylinder so it doesn't damage anything. And this one, the air compressor, it's hard to see, but it has one too. See the piston go up and down. That's neat. Okay. So we'll slow down because we're going to be shoving these. I have 10 of them. You're just going to have to trust me on this. Log 1 takes 4, and log 3 I usually put 6. So we're going to shove 4 log cars. I usually do 7 ties because I have problems. There we go. Okay, we're going to start shoving up the hill. thing I've always thought was kind of missing in the game. Devs, if you're watching, with all the logging and stuff, you need like a geared engine. Shea, Heisler, especially on kind of a steep, kind of twisty line like this. Kind of cool. And actually, on the real railroad that this is based on, out this way was the Graham County Railroad. Kind of went up here. It was a logging. It had two big truck shays and used them pretty late. Late enough that there were color pictures of them working. If you don't know, it was called the Murphy Branch, a railroad called the Southern Railway, way out in the western end of North Carolina. The section between Dillsboro, through Bryson, and I think down to Dana Hill. It's owned by the state of North Carolina, but it's run by the Great Smoky Mountains. Actually, to really nerd out, Great Smoky Mountains is currently restoring, it's called a C-46 in the game. I forget what the Southern Railroad's name for it is. But anyway, this locomotive is based on a Southern Railway steam engine class that actually worked on the Murphy Branch. They have the 722, I believe. There's another survivor of these, the 630, that's at the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum in Chattanooga. It just finished its service time and is now down for an overhaul, so it'll be out of service for a while. What else do we have in here? The C40. Based on a Norfolk and Western steam engine, and there's one of these running at the Strasburg Railroad in Pennsylvania. Strasburg also has one of these. One catalog decapod. And I'm kind of partial to these. These actually ran not far from where I live. So I usually run those. Anyway, so we're here, Connolly Creek Log 1. Spotting up these 4 cars. Almost. There we go. Okay, let's throw a handbrake on. 4 cars. Cut this off. And then I'm going to swing these over, the rest of them over here. You'll see why in a second. For these cars that we left in there, if we just leave them here, nothing happens. The industry doesn't know what to do with them. So here, operations, unload cars at the Whittier sawmill, unload logs at the Whittier sawmill, excuse me, load at log 1. And then we click repeat, copies to the 3 other cars, and now they have a waybill. So they'll eventually load. And sometimes when you leave the AI engineer to its own devices, it makes some interesting choices. This is pushing up. What the hell with it? If you want to push on the cars that bad, we'll just push all the way to L3. some like logging railroads use these cars. There was this beam in the middle wasn't here. It was literally just the trucks with couplers on either end, and the log like was the car. They would put wheels on each end of the log. All seems pretty safe, you know, just a chain holding it in place. On logging railroads, it's safe to say safety wasn't exactly priority number one. I do like this model. It's kind of simple. There's nothing to it. It's done well. This log car also has air brakes, which, and I'm sure some did, but something tells me it wasn't many of them. So there's log 2. They're loaded up and ready for us to take down the mountain. Let's get these parked first. And then we'll be ready to come over and deal with these. Let's see how steep the hill is over here. Because if you're a railroader, you can visibly like see that you're on a hill. You're on a very steep hill. Once we start moving pulpwood, this engine's just not going to be cut out for it anymore. And even the one that I'm planning on replacing it with struggles through here a little bit. It's not just the hill, it's the curve too. The curve is like a binding force on your train. To the point where some of the older railroads, they were going down steep hills, would build steep, sharp curves into the track on purpose. So the curves would help slow your train down when you're going down. Starting a train has always been quite a bit easier than stopping it. Rolling up towards the edge or our runaround point here. Anyone know if it's safe for a cat to eat Kraft macaroni and cheese? We're gonna find out. We cover a lot on this channel: science, mechanical engineering, animal experimentation. We'll see. Okay, so we're up here. Oop. Gotta open the angle. There we go. We come around the train. My plan was to run around these down at log 1, but that's okay. The auto engineer had other ideas, and that's fine. Sometimes it's easier to just let him do what he wants. Okay, well these, while they're separate, we can go ahead and unload. Load at L3. Copy. There we go. And we can jump down to L1 real quick, and you can see these have started. You can see these have started to load. So we go to locations, Whittier Sawmill. Tier 1, it needs 8 cars a day. So we're going to give them 8 cars today, then 10 tomorrow. There's some slack in that because the log pond also holds logs as a spare. So you can give them more, and they'll still take them. Okay, let's set these over. Tracks over here. This is like a spur track, and then these are the only pulpwood loader I use. We'll be ready for pulpwood in a few days. Plenty of work to do before then. Throw these handbrakes on. These will start loading now. Now, I'm going to come over, go down the hill a little bit, over to Connolly Creek log 2. We're going to pick these up and we'll bring them down to the saw. Let the engine do his thing. In here for engines. This is another Southern prototype. So if you have expanded a lot and you want to run more passenger trains, this is kind of a good like local passenger engine. Oh, this engine I've actually seen. It's not a Southern engine. It's a logging engine in a private collection in Ohio. It's actually in a movie, an Ernest Borgnine movie. I'll remember the name probably right after I hang up on this. Anyway, it's being restored to operate now. This is a Southern prototype. There's actually one in the American Museum, the Museum of American History in Washington. They were painted this real kind of pretty bright green. That it probably wouldn't be appropriate on the Murphy Bridge, but if you want to run real heavy passenger trains, it would look nice. And this guy is another Southern engine. It's a 210-2, big, heavy engine for big coal trains. And this isn't a Southern engine. It was from the Louisville and Nashville, but it would have run in kind of this same part of the country. One of the most impressive looking engines in this game. And look at that, 25 tons of coal, 22,000 gallons of water. That's insane. I like this little guy too. I've used this as the Whittier engine in some of my builds. It's not very useful for going on the main line. It doesn't carry a lot of water, but just for switching them to sawmill and coming up the hill. It's got This is based on a Sierra engine that's out in Jamestown, California, and I think just finished an overhaul a few years ago. Used in a whole bunch of movies. The Sierra actually saved it to use it in movies. This guy here is on a little railroad in Michigan. I don't know what that is. Yeah. That's a kind of interesting models. And then, of course, there's a zillion mods out there. If you're into that, you can get whatever you want. Okay. Place up the glad hands. Knock these handbrakes off. Usually when I'm picking up log bunks, we'll check the oil, but these are fine. Now we go down the hill. Let's go to the sawmill. They go to R1, the receiving track, which is alongside the log pond. Set our distance here. I really need to get over this counting thing. Therapist got to eat too. Wrong way. Diesels, what do they give you? The SW1, a little switcher. GP9 that does GP9s do anything. This D7 just a bigger, heavier, slower freight train kind of engine. The GP9s do whatever you want. The GP is literally general purpose. I mean, I ran GP. I had railroads where I ran GP9s. Unkillable. Cars here. Steel caboose. It's the classic. Upper cars. This is another one. I've never used this engine. It's a really big switch engine with these 080s. They ran everywhere. So during World War I, the railroads were basically taken over by the federal government. They built a bunch of standard designs that would work pretty much everywhere. This was one of them. This, I don't know if this is a USRA engine or not. It doesn't really look like one, but I could be wrong. I think this is one too. And they had, USRA had one of these. I don't know if this is that design or not. Anyway. We're getting towards the end of our day here. We'll put these logs up. We have a couple other little chores in the yard. Then we'll put the engine away and we'll be ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a lot like today. We're going to finish the bridge. And then at the end of the day, we're going to start expanding. And we're also going to start putting this company tripling it down. of this valve motion with the eccentrics there. It's called Stevenson valve motion. More common in England, and it was used here in the start, and then American railroads moved on to other things. There's advantages and disadvantages, but it sure is neat to watch. Piston going up and down, pumping the brakes back up. Almost there. Once we get some logs in here, the sawmill can start loading these cars we just gave them. Tomorrow we'll really be in business because we'll be delivering outbound cars and inbounds. So we paid twice. So our two little chores: one, we got to put the coach away, and two, we got to put this car onto the interchange so that the outside railroad can take it and it can get reloaded with more spare parts. We'll put the engine to bed and we'll go up to the bridge and advance the milestone. That'll be that till tomorrow. One thing I forgot to do. We'll do it when we get stopped. My bad. I knew I was forgetting something. Okay. So come over here. Handbrake's on, and what I forgot to do was tell these cars where to unload. So unload, go to your sawmill. So now, see they're all in location, and this one started unloading. So that's good. That would have been embarrassing if we come back tomorrow and they hadn't unloaded yet. Okay. Now, a couple of little chores here.
Okay, almost here. Okay, our usual drill. We'll cut this up here. Lace them up here. And just put this out of the way on the third track. The third track isn't part of the interchange, so I'll keep like company equipment over there. Heaven forbid it's in the way on the interchange track. When Norfolk Southern or CSX guys would come to our interchange, if they had to do anything but tie onto the cars and pull, you heard like audible tears on the radio. Absolutely horrified at the thought of having to walk. Okay, our last move, grab this, our spare parts car. I usually, the way I do it is I use the spare parts car until this roundhouse here couldn't take another load, and then we'll end up with other sheds as we go along here. So keep the one car and just change the destinations as it goes. Be a little frugal. It's going to run nice and fast to the shed. Here we go. Having speed. Okay. Laced up. There was no handbrake on it because of my bad railroader. And then again, we could just put this car here and that would be fine, but God forbid, you know, the other railroad has to make a move to pick it up. So we'll save their tender feelings and have our cars all in one cut, ready for them to go. My supervisor, and I worked for the company that interchanged Norfolk Southern when asked why we had to do everything for them, his response was, "Well, if they have to do anything themselves, they'd probably just screw it up. So it's better that we just do it for them, so they don't end up derailing or something." I always thought that was funny. Basically. All right, let's get this engine put to bed. So you can kind of see, so we've been at this for what, 2.5 hours or so. You could not expand at all if you didn't want to. You could just focus on feeding the sawmill, run the mix train up to Ella and back once a day, switch the customers in Whittier and Ella, and get plenty of play value out of this. A day would be 2.5 hours. It's enough that you can just sit and plop down and get a day done. Or you can expand. And then I'll kind of show you in our next expansion, that's a perfectly fine stopping place too. And then the one after that, you could also stop. At each step, you have a pretty complete railroad that you can, play with. Just kind of depends on, do you want to be able to consistently sit down and knock out whole days, in a couple hours, or are you okay with having a bigger railroad where you might not get a whole day done all at once? It's entirely up to you. Let's get the tender filled up. We'll set up our repair again. Conditions at 99%. Let's see how long repairs will take. 26 minutes. We'll go ahead and do it. Keep everything tip-top shape. We should be repairing the coach too, but I don't bother at this stage. It doesn't really put enough miles on it to be worth it. What's its condition now? Yeah, 99%. When we get to the next stage, we'll have a bigger car shop that can take care of a passenger train, and it'll get repaired every night there. But for now, it's okay. Pull up a little bit, get some coal. I like the animation on this coal conveyor too. It's cool. Okay. Let's have the engine go put himself to bed. And like right about. Okay. Did I get it? Did I get it? Oh, I did. Awesome. Okay. So let's go up to our Ela Bridge site. Call up our waybills. Open our time window. Advance 6 hours. Okay, and that cleared it. So if we go into our milestones, we can start the next milestone. And notice we're getting a discount now because our reputation is 110%, which is awesome. Phase gets 25% off of phase costs. Equipment's 10% cheaper. Things repair 50% faster. And when we start new customers, they can start at tier 3, which we'll explain when we get there. So anyway, start the next phase. Those will come to the interchange tomorrow. And I like to watch the interchange spawn just because. So we'll go here. And just for giggles, we'll go see the logs unloaded. So they'll be ready for logs in the morning. And we'll sleep. So what happened there? We got paid for the logs from Whittier Sawmill, which is good. I should note it, when you're delivering commodities, you get paid at the end of the day based on how much you delivered, which is fine. Paid the shop crew, the engineer, and ordered parts. So we took money in, but we also ordered parts, so we ended up losing a little bit of money. Totally okay. That's fine. So that's where we'll leave it for today. We'll come back next time and we'll do day 3 on the BW&E Railroad. Thanks everybody for watching.